Today, we're tackling, well, a really huge, kind of hidden structural problem in the European beverage distribution scene. It's basically a math problem, and it's costing the industry billions, and I mean literally billions, every single year.
Yeah, we really have to set the stage with the sheer scale here right at the start. For you listening, Europe's beverage market, it's enormous. We're looking at a total market value of roughly 160 billion, and that's supplied by about 1.35 million beverage-relevant retail outlets, just a massive universe to distribute in.
Okay, 1.35 million outlets.
Exactly. But here's the kicker, the really critical data point from the research. A staggering 70% of those outlets are systematically underserved.
70%. Wow, that sounds like a massive failure baked into the system somehow. What does that failure, that lack of coverage, actually cost in terms of lost revenue?
Well, it translates directly into what we're calling the coverage gap crisis. It's pretty stark. When you take that
Yeah.
70% neglect and spread it across the entire market, the research suggests a potential annual revenue leakage of up to 48 billion.
48 billion euros. That's huge.
It is. So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack this crisis. We'll look at three crucial failures. First, why the traditional field sales math just fundamentally breaks down. Second, the catastrophic cost when promotions fail because of this gap. And finally, what the research points to as the only proven tech that can actually fix this gap economically, for good.
Okay, let's start with that structure then.
Yeah.
How can 70% of a market just be systematically missed? Help us understand the structure that even allows this massive gap to exist.
It's a classic Pareto principle problem, really, based on sales contribution. It's the standard way FMCG classifies outlets. So at the very top, you've got your Class A outlets. These are the big ones. Only 10% of the stores maybe, but they drive a huge 40% of the sales.
Okay, so they get all the attention, weekly visits, high compliance.
Absolutely, they're fully covered, no question. Then you have the middle layer.
Class B.
Right, Class B. That's another 20% of the outlets, contributing the next 30% of sales.
Yeah.
They're typically serviced pretty reliably, too, maybe biweekly, maybe monthly. The real systemic problem, the coverage gap, lies squarely with classes C and D. These are the remaining 70% of all outlets.
70%.
Yeah, the small independent shops, the traditional trade, the mom and pop stores, and collectively they actually generate the final 30% of total sales.
Right, so even though they're small individually, that 70% group is critical for overall market presence, for penetration, stability. But they sound tricky to serve. Small orders, fragmented ownership, lots of traditional trade, maybe not much tech adoption.
That's exactly it. They are the very definition of the coverage gap.
Yeah.
They're also high churn risks. If they feel ignored, they'll switch suppliers. And the old ways of reaching them just fail. You can actually measure this neglect. We look at the effective coverage outlet rate, or ECO.
Eco rate.
In territories that are managed well, the ECO is maybe 70% to 80%. That means that percentage of outlets is actually placing an order at least monthly. But in underperforming territories, that rate plummets down to 30%, maybe 40%.
So half the potential outlets in those areas aren't even ordering once a month.
Precisely. That shortfall proves that 30% to 50% of your crucial Class C and D outlets just aren't being reached effectively.
Which brings us right to that fundamental flaw you mentioned, crisis number one. It sounds like it's not about reps being lazy. It's the actual economics of the job makes achieving that 70% impossible.
Let's focus on capacity. Because the math, when you look at how reps spend their time, it's pretty startling. We've seen multiple time tracking studies across the industry, and they all point to the same thing.
Yeah.
Field sales reps spend only maybe 28% to 35% of their time actually selling.
Wait, only about a third of their time is selling? So what's happening with the other, 70%?
That's the non-selling time sink.
Yeah.
And companies, well, sometimes they're aware, but it often gets treated as just the cost of doing business the old way.
Is it just accepted overhead then?
Largely. They're essentially drowning in admin.
Mm-hmm.
If you break it down, almost 33% of their time is just managing sales-related email and comms. Then add another, say 18% specifically on CRM data entry. Factor in other admin tasks, travel planning, internal meetings. You easily hit that 70% non-selling figure.
Wow.
And if you put a price tag on it, using the average U.S. salary for a field rep, that administrative waste costs companies something like $68,352 per rep per year. Just wasted time.
So you're effectively paying a six-figure salary for someone spending most of their time on admin who occasionally gets to make a sale. That waste must kill their ability to actually visit
It
customers.
absolutely does. That's the second capacity breakdown.
Yeah.
You see, the industry might have these optimistic targets, right? Maybe 40, 45 calls per day.
Yeah, that sounds ambitious.
It is. Because the research shows the realistic sustainable daily capacity is actually only 7 to 12 productive calls.
7 to 12. Why such a huge difference from the target?
Think about what goes into one productive visit. There's travel time, maybe waiting for the owner, the actual sales chat, placing the order, maybe some merchandising checks, and then logging everything into the CRM afterwards. Each one takes about 54 to 59 minutes door to door, including the admin wrap-up.
Okay, an hour per productive call.
Pretty much. So best case, maybe a rep manages 12 calls a day. That's about 240 calls a month, give or take. But here's the problem. To optimally cover a typical territory one with a mix of A, B, C, and D outlets needing weekly, bi-weekly, monthly visits, you actually need closer to 260 visits per month.
Ah, so even before they start the engine, they're already facing a capacity shortfall. What did you say, about 45% short?
It's a 45% shortfall built right into the traditional model. And guess who gets cut when time runs out?
It has to be the smaller guys, the C&D outlet.
Every single time. Because the cost per physical visit in Europe runs about 40 to 42.
40 euros for one visit.
Yeah. And trying to justify that 40 cost for a small mom and pop shop placing maybe a small infrequent order, the economics just don't work in the traditional model. The math fundamentally breaks down for that huge 70% slice of the market.
Okay, so if the field team literally can't get to that 70% consistently, that must mean marketing campaigns, promotions, they're not landing there either, which leads us right into crisis number 2, the catastrophic cost of promotion failure.
Exactly. And this failure mechanism, it's well documented. It's sometimes called the sequential cascade delay.
Sequential cascade delay. Sounds ominous.
It is for marketers. Promotion information basically trickles down slowly, sequentially, from headquarters through regional managers to the sales team and then outward to the outlets. And the speed, it's totally dictated by the rep's physical visit schedule.
So how long does that delay actually become for these underserved C&D outlets?
Well, think about a typical campaign launch.
Yeah.
Your big Class A customers, they might get the details around week 3, pretty quick. But the Class C outlets, they often only learn about that same promotion in week 6 through 8.
Weeks 6 to 8. Okay.
And the smallest ones, the Class C outlets, they might not hear about it until weeks 9 to 13, sometimes even later.
Oh, so let me get this straight. If a promotion runs for, say, 12 weeks.
Yeah, the typical duration.
By the time the vast majority of the market, that 70% actually hears about it, the promotion is already half over, or even 75% finished.
You got it. The sales team is basically showing up to tell the small shops about the big summer promotion in September or October. The impact is completely deadened.
That's just quantified waste then.
It is pure quantified waste. Companies stuck using these slow, disconnected systems, they see 20% to 30% lower promotional ROI compared to those who can activate faster. And when you scale that up across the entire European market, the amount of marketing spend just flushed down the drain because of this delay and poor execution. It's staggering. The conservative estimate points to 10.6 billion annually, just gone, wasted due to poor coverage.
10 billion euros in wasted marketing spend. And I imagine there's a nasty competitive angle to this too.
Oh, it's brutal. Because while you're slowly getting the word out, your competitors who can activate faster, they win that promotional period. It leads to a really quick loss of market share during those campaigns, maybe 2 to 3 percentage points. Just hand it over.
Oh.
And you see it reflected in the redemption rates too. For those underserved outlets, the C&D guys, their redemption rates on promotions are catastrophically lower. We're talking 50% to 86% lower than well-covered outlets. Lack of timely execution absolutely kills the marketing budget's effectiveness.
Okay, so let's recap. Traditional field sales. Too expensive, too much admin waste, can't reach the 70%. Call centers, maybe cheaper, but they're reactive, can't do merchandising, and conversion rates are much lower.
Yeah, typically 30% to 50% lower conversion and zero merchandising support.
So for a market needing basically zero friction and super low cost to serve 1.35 million diverse outlets, where does the research point? What's the only viable solution that emerged?
The research consistently points towards AI-powered conversational commerce. And specifically, leveraging the WhatsApp business platform seems to be the key. It appears to be the only model that truly solves that fundamental cost-to-serve problem for the long tail.
Okay, WhatsApp. Why WhatsApp specifically, instead of, say, companies building their own custom apps?
2 words: ubiquity and friction, or rather the lack of friction. Why force a small shop owner to download yet another app they don't know? WhatsApp. It already has, what, 3.14 billion global users? And critically, the estimated penetration rate among these small retail outlets, especially in Southern and Eastern Europe, is huge, maybe 60% to 90%.
So the tool is already on their phone. They already know how to use it.
Exactly. It requires zero training, zero friction for that busy small business owner. It just works
Sure.
on a platform they trust and use daily.
And I bet the engagement numbers reflect that ease of use.
Oh, they're stunning. Absolutely stunning. Messages sent via WhatsApp Business Platform, they achieve 98% message open rates. Compare that to email, which is maybe 20% on a good day.
98% open rate.
Okay. And the conversion rates,
Yeah.
also much higher. We're seeing 5% to 15% conversion rates from proactive outreach on WhatsApp. That's like 3 to 7 times higher than typical email
Oh,
campaigns.
a massive difference.
But here's the most critical part. The economics completely shift. The cost to serve these outlets digitally via WhatsApp, it plummets. We're talking potentially 1 to 6 euros per outlet per year. Compare that to the 480 to over 2,000 euro it would cost for just one physical visit cycle per year with traditional field sales.
Wow. So suddenly, even the smallest Class D outlet becomes economically viable to engage with.
For the very first time, yes, it fixes the structural cost problem. Plus, think about the other benefits.
Like what?
Well, this AI assistant, it's always on, 24/7, perfect for HoReCa outlets, hotels, restaurants, caterers who often order late at night outside traditional business hours. And the AI can be proactive. It can push personalized promotions instantly to the entire network, completely solving that sequential cascade delay we talked about.
Right. No more waiting weeks for a rep visit.
How?
And it can handle digital merchandising, too.
Yes, collecting photos, ensuring compliance, all digitally. And it's infinitely scalable. Adding another 10,000 outlets costs virtually nothing compared to hiring more reps.
So is this just theory, or is there real-world proof this works in beverage and FMCG?
Oh, there's solid validation. We have specific case studies showing this hybrid model, digital complementing field sales, really delivers. Take Lactalis, the dairy giant. After implementing this kind of digital transformation, they saw a 230% increase in digital orders.
230% increase.
And crucially, a 44% reduction in administrative work for their field teams.
Ah, so that's freeing up that 70% non-selling time you mentioned earlier. The AI handles the routine stuff, reps focus on high-value tasks.
That's exactly the idea. And look at Viswara's group, another distributor. They reported a 20% overall sales volume increase and specifically attributed 11% growth directly to the hybrid model. It proves digital adds value, it doesn't just replace.
Okay, but does it work for the really small guys? The mom and pops?
Yes. There's a great case from Kolu, a food distributor specifically targeting those small traditional stores. They achieved a 65% adoption rate for their WhatsApp ordering system. And the result, they doubled their orders from that segment just by making it mobile first and zero friction.
That's compelling. Anything specific from the beverage sector itself?
Definitely. De Klok Drinken, a Dutch beverage distributor, rolled this out and achieved an impressive 80% customer adoption rate. So yes, the technology is proven. It's working today in the real world across fragmented traditional trade. It's actively closing that 70% coverage gap.
Okay, this brings us back to the big numbers. We started with a potential $48 billion problem, that coverage gap crisis. Let's connect the dots now. What does implementing this kind of solution actually mean for the bottom line? What's the ROI look like against that massive leakage?
Well, the financial opportunity, even for a mid-sized beverage company, it's genuinely staggering. The research suggests that a relatively modest investment, let's say in the range of 300,000 to 500,000 euro to set up this AI-driven WhatsApp channel, can potentially yield an annual revenue uplift of somewhere between 17 million and 34 million.
17 to 34 million on a $500,000 investment. That sounds like, well, an almost unbelievable ROI. What are we talking, like 34x to over 100x?
Yeah, the calculations show a 34x to 113x ROI in year one. It's transformative because you're finally unlocking that previously unreachable 70% of the market efficiently.
And the payback period on that initial investment?
It's incredibly fast, usually just 2 to 4 months. And maybe here's the most telling metric. The research indicates that this WhatsApp AI approach delivers upwards of 75% of the potential revenue benefit, but at only about 4% of the cost it would take to achieve similar coverage by hiring traditional sales reps.
Just 4% of the cost?
To get full coverage the old way, you'd need to hire something like 9,450 additional reps across Europe. The cost, an impossible 671 million billion balance. It's just not feasible.
So it's economically non-viable to solve this crisis using the traditional playbook. This isn't just about finding some efficiencies anymore, is it? It sounds more like competitive survival.
It absolutely is. And there's an urgency here. The window for being an early adopter, we're talking really 2025, maybe into 2026, is closing. Companies moving now, the first movers, they're gaining a significant 12 to 24-month head start.
A 1 to 2 year lead.
Exactly. And in this game, competitors who lock in that underserved 70% segment now using this scalable tech, they'll likely capture them permanently, which means long-term structural market share loss for any company that hesitates and waits too long. This isn't just a gradual transition. It's more like a land grab enabled by AI scalability.
Wow. Okay, this has been an incredibly clarifying deep dive. Let me try and summarize the core findings for everyone listening. The European beverage industry is fundamentally facing a structural crisis. It's driven by, well, unsustainable economics of physical visits and this huge administrative burden that just crushes field sales capacity.
Right. And we really have to hammer home that central finding. That huge group, the 70% of currently underserved outlets who still represent 30% of sales, it's not a management problem. Your reps aren't failing. It is purely a cost-to-serve problem. And the only way, based on the data, to serve them economically, to ensure your promotions actually land consistently, and to start clawing back that staggering 10.6 billion annual promotion waste, it's through mobile-first, AI-driven automation, specifically leveraging platforms like WhatsApp that are already in your customers' pockets.
Which leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Think about this. The absolute biggest retailers on the planet, a Walmart, a 7-Eleven, they only manage maybe 10,000 to 40,000 stores globally. That's their entire network. How can individual beverage companies realistically expect to effectively manage, serve, and influence 1.35 million independent, fragmented outlets across Europe using methods designed decades ago?
They can't.
The research is crystal clear. The answer isn't trying to hire thousands more people you can't afford. It's about recognizing that your next most scalable, most effective field sales representative, well, should probably be an AI assistant delivered through WhatsApp.